Hello everyone, welcome back to Anmoll Astrology channel. I hope you guys have had a nice 10 days into 2025. I hope that has been good for most of you, right? So this video is not a transit video. It is not a predictive video. It's more of a communication or discussion video that I wanted to make since a very long time. So, basically, what I wanted to discuss here is how can one understand to predict planets through nakshatras? So I think this video has a very minimum audience to reach because it's more about for useful for people who are learners of astrology. So back when I used to just learn astrology and not predict through it, I'm still learning astrology, but back in that time, I used to feel that the information about how, like, there are predictions given in the books, a lot of books are there, a lot of mentors are there who are letting us, who are giving us that education for what would be the predictions. For example, one planet is in certain nakshatra. Right. And how do we get out of it? Right. How do we calculate it and how do we understand the theme? But no one tells us that how do we have to understand so as to make that prediction. So why this idea came into my mind for making this video was once I was asked that, oh, I have Saturn in its own nakshatra. So I think that is very good for me. So why still I'm experiencing such a trouble in its Mahadasha? So one more instance was where they said that most of my planets are in their own nakshatras. So why still a struggle that I face? So that's why I thought that we should have a, discussion, or we should have a video on this thing, that how do we understand about planets in nakshatras. Of course, I'm not going to give predictions here, but I'm going to talk about that theory that is used, that pattern that is used to analyze. Like, for example, we all know the nakshatras of Saturn are blessed. They are good, right? They bring in fortune. But do you feel that it is best for all the planets? Like, for example, the nakshatras of Saturn, we have, for example, Anuradha nakshatra. Why do people with Anuradha nakshatra, especially Venus in Anuradha nakshatra, struggle with love? Of course, we know there's a theme of Radha, right? But of course, there is a lot of heaviness of that Saturn. That is a fortunate nakshatra. That is a blissful nakshatra. But do you feel that Venus and Anuradha people have never faced that low point of money? That low point where they did not have any of the wealth? Go and ask any of Venus and Anuradha nakshatra, they must have faced that. So when we say, and I think that is more of an understanding for a person who gets the prediction also, that if we say this particular planet gives fortune, like Jupiter gives fortune, a nakshatra gives fortune. So it's not that it is going to stay the same or it is going to give you fortune. Like, just you are born with fortune and you're going to get it all of your life. There can be different moments, there can be different events where you will go through struggle and then achieve it, or you have everything but then you land yourself into a situation of struggle and then you have to get back up, right? So I just wanted to say there are certain planets which are very soft, which you might consider as rajasic or sattvic. And there are planets which are which are tamasic. But still, I would say we have Sun and Jupiter also to be sattvic planets, but still they can wander in both the senses. I won't say they are tamasic, but we are going to use them as the planets which are heavier with their results also. Okay, so and we have nakshatras. So, for example, if we have Vishakha nakshatra, which is ruled by Jupiter, Jupiter is a planet of fortune. Jupiter is a planet of wisdom. It is the planet of belief system. It is the planet of celebrations. But when you put planets like Moon, Venus, Mercury, and let's, yeah, these three planets, if you put these three planets into Vishakha Nakshatra, you can get very destructive results. For example, when Moon comes into this nakshatra, when Venus comes into this nakshatra, you're forced to be fierce. You are not no longer a very patient individual. With Moon in Vishakha, suppose you're forced to go for a war, to go for a battle. You have to get up and be at that situation where happiness does not come easy to you. Whereas you put Moon in Anuradha. Anuradha is a nakshatra ruled by Saturn. Again, a planet, a tamasic planet, right? A very strong planet. Now you put Moon in Anuradha. Moon wants happiness. Moon wants love. But what it is forced to do? It is forced to get that pressure. It is forced to feel that, heaviness within their heart space. You put Venus in Anuradha, they are just deprived, they're just gone deeper into the waters of love, where now they feel alone. And they would want that unionship, but it would take such a struggle for them to get a stable unionship. But on the other hand, if you put Saturn in Anuradha, you put Mars in Anuradha. I know it is Saturn's nakshatra. So I started with this communication, like where I started with the video by saying that it is not necessary that a planet does well in its own nakshatra. So of course, Saturn is going to have its own, circumstances with the Anuradha nakshatra, but still Saturn in itself is a heavier planet. In itself is a planet which takes that struggle, which is welcoming that struggle. Whatever struggle comes in with the nakshatra of Anuradha or the heavier nakshatras of Jupiter or Saturn, Mars, planets like Mars, Sun, Saturn, they'll be open to get that opportunities. They'll be open for challenges. They'll be like, come on, if you come with challenge towards me, I'm going to fight back towards you. And if there is a softer planet like Venus, Moon, Mercury, they might get conflicted in that maze of that particular nakshatra. They can get scared of the results they are bringing in. So they take time to adjust with the maleficness or with the problems that particular nakshatra is going to bring in. If that particular nakshatra is bringing in good opportunities, then they are going to welcome with open heart, with open hands. But otherwise, they are rather more struggling in those particular nakshatras. So the crux is that whenever you predict a planet through a nakshatra, try to join their element and their scheme altogether. Try to understand the combination. Try to understand that how this particular, don't go in a fundamental level that if suppose this batch of nakshatras is fortunate, any planet goes into this batch of nakshatras, it is going to be fortunate. Do not predict like this or do not think like this. Rather, play with the elements of astrology, play with the elements of sign, planets, nakshatras, all the elements. Like I'll give an example here with Venus. Suppose someone has Venus in the nakshatra of Vishakha, both the sides, Libra and Scorpio. So how do we have to predict it now? Venus is in the nakshatra of Jupiter, a nakshatra which is two branched. One side is Agni, one side is Indra. Now, I'm not putting a clever planet or a adjustable planet like Mars or Mercury into this nakshatra, which actually would play very well here because they would play with the duality of that nakshatra and give good results. But now, what Venus is forced here to do is that Venus is the planet of love. Venus is your intensity within the love. So once you get into a love situation, back of your mind, you always have the wisdom of Jupiter. You are bound to experience lessons through love because Vishakha is all about lessons that you learn. It is about information that you extract. It's about the knowledge and wisdom that you extract. So you have to be clever in love. You can no longer be just simply devoted to love. You are going to face betrayals and you are going to be forced to become clever when it comes to love. And then you're also forced to become fierce when you are in love. For example, if a person in with Venus in Vishakha goes through a breakup, they're not going to take that breakup like, sitting in the corner, crying, crying, crying. First, they are going to go in that fierce warrior zone, the Agni side of Vishakha. Then they are also going to go into that Indra side of the Vishakha and intelligently get their space out of that particular relationship. They would want to, maybe if they love that particular individual, they're not just going to sit and cry. They're going to first make them pay for hurting them. They're going to give them equal, kind of hurt. So some sort of revengefulness also comes in there. That's why there's always a struggle and, kind of a tug of war between one's, authority and one's intelligence and one's fierceness with this nakshatra when Venus comes into this nakshatra. So that's what we did was we understood the quality of Jupiter. We understood the element of Vishakha Nakshatra by its meaning, by its theme, and we understood the qualities of Venus. We just connected all of it. And then we made a prediction. So by this, you cannot, just like if you are a predictor, you cannot just say that it is a good placement. You're going to say that it has its own goods and bads. But you would see a person with Venus in Vishakha, highly intelligent, good information collectors, people who have so much of wisdom and they implement that wisdom within their relationships. They implement that honesty and devotion within their relationships. Now, this was the negative side of Vishakha. Now, another side of Vishakha is there that Vishakha people are very homely. They always want to take care of their family. They always want to protect them. They want to make food, they want to go out, work, be ambitious for their family. And they want to instill good, good morals into their children, into everyone in their surroundings. So they are excellent counselors. If Venus comes into this nakshatra, they are excellent researchers. And when it's about their relationship, they can be extremely giving. Right? So that was just, I hope this example has made sense to you guys? So I don't know. I truly don't know. I did not structure this video so as to communicate. I just wanted to like pour my heart out to make you understand that how you yourself can be the predictor for yourself. You can predict how, my Venus can be, how my love situation can be, because most of all people have this question and they fail to sometimes understand through nakshatras. It is far more easier, of course, to understand through planets and through houses. So Venus is in the second house, Venus is in the seventh house. You might be able to understand it through books or through simple logics, but when it comes to nakshatras, you have to be very careful and very, you have to have that understanding to know how to predict. So I hope this mini, I don't know why I was going to say vlog, but this mini video is going to help you give good insights for nakshatras. Sorry. So we'll see you next time with another video. Till then, if you guys are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. And if you guys would like to have your personal readings from me, you can check out the link below, www.anmollastrology.com. And under the reading section, you can book a personal reading for yourself. And under the unique reading section, you can book a unique reading for yourself. Okay. See you next time. Bye bye. Take care.